Why would an Eldritch being pursue a small town cop? Let's talk about it. Let's chat about it. Let's think about it, bestie, on today's episode of the StoryPod podcast.
Come on in, bestie. Welcome to StoryPod, where we do the doing of story development together. Brought to you by Creative BFF.
Welcome. I am your hostess, Ashley of Creative BFF. Thank you for joining me again. I love to see you coming, and I hate to see you go. All right? Listen, before I get into the housekeeping, obviously I'm in motion. I'm not stationary. Okay. And that is because I am really behind on my steps. So listen, let's walk together. Let's walk and talk together. You know, why don't you stand up and just march in place a little bit, pace around your house, walk around your office, hop on a treadmill real quick, go take a jaunt outside in the sun, and let's think about a story question. Now, if you have story questions, I would love to answer them. I would love to help. Okay. If I can help you, please feel free to email me at ash@creativebff.com, or you can, yeah, that's correct. I was like, did I just get my website? Or you can go to my website and go to the contact section and shoot me a little message. Make sure you put a story question in the subject. Otherwise, I will think it's spam. Anyway, so we are answering a Reddit question about a particular type of character. So I'm not gonna talk about it. We're just gonna be about it. Let me read it to you. All right. So this is from the r/character development subreddit. Need help with an Eldritch villain. Why did I say it like that? Eldritch villain motivations. I'm currently writing a story, and the main villain is a humanoid Eldritch thing. I've gotten to a point where I've introduced him to the story, and I need a reason for him to be pursuing the protagonist. I don't want something simple and easy, like they made a deal and he's there to collect, or the protagonist having taken something from him. I need ideas for something that a semi-Eldritch being would care about and be pursuing someone for. For additional context, the main protagonist is a cop going back to his hometown. The villain is introduced first, having shown up in the town a long while before the protagonist gets there. So, I'm thinking that an Eldritch, even a semi-Eldritch being, is going to have concerns that perhaps are farther reaching than what humans would care about, like greed or, lust or love or power and things like that. Power, I don't know, maybe that would be one. Being that this is a semi-Eldritch, I don't know if that means that they are mixed with human, or they just take a humanoid form, or what that means. But I do have a few little ideas, little possibilities. Okay. The first one is that perhaps the protagonist is also an Eldritch being, either unknown to the protagonist, or they know. And I feel like either option opens interesting story paths to go on. So it could be that if they know, well, why have they chosen to live as a small town cop? If they don't know, what's that backstory? How is this person, existing in this way? What is that backstory? So either one could have very interesting story ramifications. The second idea that I thought of was perhaps this villain is not the biggest bad in the neighborhood. Perhaps there's something about this protagonist, whether it is that they are also an Eldritch being, or that they are, there is something about them that would cause them to be perfect for the villain's purposes of maybe joining up in some kind of way, either against their will, like I am going to absorb you into my being, or like as a teammate type of thing. in order to combat the coming greater evil. However, that takes the story potentially in a whole other direction, like especially if the asker of the question actually wants this villain to be the main villain, the biggest bad in the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? So that could make it go in another direction. But you know, we don't know enough about the story to give conclusive answers. So we're just brainstorming here. And then the third one is that perhaps the villain and the protagonist are pieces of the same whole. They are of the same source and substance. Maybe the villain has been going around absorbing and collecting others who are part of this whole. Perhaps maybe the protagonist is the last one, or maybe they're just the next one on the chain, potentially. And then the motivations of why the villain would be wanting to absorb this main character or recollect the pieces of the whole. Perhaps the villain was also human at one point, and through some circumstance, some ritual, finding some ancient tome or artifact, or having a weird experience, or having been called by the true Eldritch horror in the cosmos, or whatever the case may be, they go on this journey. So those, I think, are going to be my ideas. Let's keep it short and sweet. Okay. You know, we don't have enough information to go super, super deep, but I am very interested to see what you would say in this case, especially if you are very well versed in the genre of, you know, that would include, I don't know if Eldritch, well, I guess Eldritch horror is like a subgenre, right? If you are well versed in that area, you know, I would love to hear your ideas. How would you answer this question? What other motivations would you give a villain of this ilk to pursue a protagonist that's not like what we've already seen, you know? So thank you, as always, for joining me. Listen, enjoy your day. Keep walking, keep pacing, put on another video. You know, let's get into another story mode, ponder your own story, and continue getting your steps. All right. Love you. See you next time. Why am I like this?